The Buccaneers offense still can't seem to find their footing. That and more on today's episode of Locked On Bucs.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome into this live post-game reaction edition of Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bucs your first listener view every day. Don't forget you can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can follow along on Twitter. I am James Yarcho at JYarcho_Bucs, credentialed member of the media covering your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, here with you every Monday through Friday, along with the everydayers. And for that, I want to share my appreciation for your continued support of the show. One of the ways you can support the show is become a Locked On Bucs insider. You're going to get news, rumors, updates, general thoughts, one-on-one conversations with me via text message. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes to become an insider today. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Biggest takeaways and some thoughts on the offense all coming up in a little bit. But as we always do, let's start with the biggest moment in this one. And to me, it was the 26-yard pass to Douglas on 3rd and 7 with just over 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. That play where Todd Bowles drops Anthony Nelson into coverage proved to be the key moment in that drive. First of all, it extended the Patriots' drive, and then the Patriots would go on to score on 4th and goal on a back quarter pass to Stephon Diggs to take a 14-10 lead into halftime. From there, the Patriots opened the second half, receiving the kickoff and have a 2-play drive where Travion Henderson broke off a 55-yard touchdown run to go up 21-10. After that, things were pretty bleak. And think about it for a moment. Baker Mayfield and the offense walked off the field halfway through the second quarter with a 10-7 lead. By time they touched the ball again, they were trailing 21-10. Now, there were some miscues by the defense in this one for sure. There's no doubt about that. The touchdown pass to Kyle Williams at the end of the first quarter, 2 touchdown runs by Henderson of 55 and 69 yards. Those are not plays that we've seen this Bucs defense give up very much over the last few games, or, to be fair, really at all over the last 2.5 seasons. Greg Allman pointed out that the Bucs gave up more 50-plus yard touchdowns in this game than they have in the last 47 games combined. They've really been good, this defense, about stopping receivers after the catch. They were not allowing huge runs. So that stuff was incredibly uncharacteristic, and it put the Bucs in a bad position. That said, and I'll talk more about the offense later on, the defense still did more than enough to win this game. They sacked Drake May just once. Should have been at least 3 or 4 times had it not been for some questionable non-holding calls. And then Tyke Smith with an absolutely killer of an interception in the end zone to keep the lead at 5 and give Baker and the offense the ball back in the fourth quarter. The defense still came up big in some key moments. After that Henderson touchdown, the Pats had a 3-and-out, turnover on downs, 3-and-out, and threw an interception. In response, the Bucs in the second half went 5 plays and punt, touchdown, 6 plays and punt, 3-and-out, turnover on downs, then a garbage time touchdown. I don't know what else you really could have asked for from this defense in the second half. And look, the Patriots are the real deal. I was talking to a couple of the insiders about that. They have a ton of talent, and certainly we're not a team that was just taking advantage of a favorable schedule. We talked about it on the Friday Live. We talked about it on the Squad Show. Were the Patriots a playoff team or a team that was going to make the playoffs? They are certainly a playoff team. But now you have to start to ask the question as to whether or not the Bucs are a playoff team or a team that is just going to make the playoffs. They've lost to the Patriots, the Lions, and the Eagles. And while, yes, they've beaten the Niners and the Seahawks, they've also beat a bunch of teams under 500. Now, I do think that the Bucs are certainly capable of being one of the better teams in the NFL, but not with what we've seen out of them over the last month. More specifically, again, the offensive side of the ball. And I'm not going to overreact to this loss. I told you that if they lose this game and the game next week against the Bills, it's not really a huge deal. Your sights have to be set on the Rams. And from there, it's pretty much smooth sailing to 12 or 13 wins. Yes, I do think that this Bucs team should have beaten the Patriots. And this loss was basically from shooting yourself in the foot and not executing over and over and over. And yes, we all want to see them beat the Buffalo Bills, but these are games that you can lose, and it's not going to sink you over the long run. It was just incredibly frustrating watching this team perform in the way that it did. We asked for a hot start. You got it. The Bucs marched right down the field. Emeka Egbuka with 2 huge receptions, gets into the end zone again, and then the defense comes out and just absolutely dominates on that opening drive. But the offense cannot continue to be up and down all the time. They'll be up after one drive, then they're down for 3, and then they'll score again, and you're like, okay, they're getting back on track. There's no rhythm to this offense. It's like driving 60 miles an hour over a street that is just lined with speed bumps every 10 feet. So you're just doing this the whole time. It's beyond frustrating to try to watch. All right, I do want to jump into the chat. But before I jump into the chat, Ben, Insider Ben reached out and sent a text, and I have not read this yet, so you're going to get a genuine reaction here. And he says, it's an obvious question, but would love to hear your honest assessment of Grizzard's play calling and what is going on with Baker. He seems very different from his MVP caliber play before the Lions game. Is he hurt? Something is very off with the way he's been playing that and the offensive play calling. Ben, you're in luck, but you're going to have to stick around because I am actually talking about all of those things later on in this show. So I was already ready for your question, whether we both knew it or not. All right. Jumping into the chat some more. Mr. King says, this is just a team that makes the playoffs, not a playoff team. I'm assuming that you are talking about the Bucs in this scenario. And I don't fully agree with you. I agree that as of this moment, they are a team that will make the playoffs and not a playoff team. Over the long term, I do not believe that that is going to be the case. Dan says, I was at the game. There was way too many Pats fans. Yeah, Pats fans tend to, travel pretty well. They're excited about their team, but you also have to remember how many Pats fans were transplants for the Brady years. So a lot of those Pats fans were probably also local, but had switched to the Bucs during the Brady years and now still root for the Bucs. But when the Pats show up, they're going to show out for their team. Demon Hunter, too many no calls as well. Yeah, it was pretty egregious. There were quite a few times that the Patriots got away with holding. They got away with blocks in the back. But then on the flip side, the Bucs got away with a couple of holding calls. I guess this officiating crew just got together and they were like, you know what? No holding calls at all today. We're just going to let the trenches play and see what happens. But that was really frustrating. King with a great question, because I saw this a lot on social media as well. My son asked me the exact same thing. He said, why did we go for a 2-point conversion again? So in this situation, and I agreed completely with the decision to go for a 2-point conversion, the touchdown that the Bucs scored took the score from 21-10 to 21-16. Now, you can kick the extra point and make it 21-17, but in that situation, you still have to score a touchdown in order to get ahead. With going for 2, if you convert there, now you're only down by a field goal. So it takes it from kicking the extra point and still needing a touchdown to getting the 2-point conversion and only needing a field goal. given that particular situation, it doesn't matter if you don't convert the 2-point conversion, you're still in the same situation that you were had you kicked the extra point. So analytically, as far as how that math works out, it is smarter in that situation when you're trailing by 5 to go ahead and go for 2, because kicking the extra point doesn't give you any kind of advantage whatsoever. Let's see. Demon Hunter, Tyke taking BMO out of coverage was the difference maker in this game. I was really critical of Benjamin Morrison after that play, both to the insiders and on Twitter. I won't say that it was the difference maker in this game, but it certainly was a difference maker. It did swing momentum a little bit. I think it was way too early in the game to fully swing the outcome entirely. I think the bigger swing was the end of the first half, beginning of the second half, with the Pats doing exactly what I said the Bucs could not afford to let them do, and that was doubling up, and not just doubling up with scores, but doubling up with touchdowns. I think that was far more brutal for this Buccaneers team than just that single play where Kyle Williams was able to get open because Tyke and Benjamin Morrison nearly collided. And it kind of took Morrison off the route a little bit. All right. We are going to talk about the biggest takeaways. That is coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, the busy work, and the silos that your software created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. Right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnfl. That's rippling.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. Again, for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every single day. Biggest takeaways in this one. We're going to start with the defensive side of the ball this time around. Usually I start with the offense, but I'm starting with the defense because I have a lot to say about the offense. And so after this, we're talking all offense the rest of this show. Defensively, one of the happier takeaways that I'm going to bring up is that I absolutely love what we are getting out of Elijah Roberts. This guy has stepped up in such a massive way since the Bucs lost Kalijah Kancey. He is now tied atop the NFL in passes defensed by a rookie defensive lineman. He got yet another sack and had a key tackle on third down to force a punt. He is doing it at a level that I don't think anyone expected out of him during his rookie season, whether that was because there was going to be a learning curve, or the opportunities weren't going to be there because of Elijah Cansey, whatever the case was. I don't think any of us expected Elijah Roberts to be playing the way that he's playing. This was his best game in terms of overall performance and pass rush, according to PFF. And these are numbers that have been steadily climbing since he started getting more snaps back in week 6 against the San Francisco 49ers. This is yet another key player that Jason Licht and his team found on day 3 of the draft. We all kind of thought it was going to be David Walker in that pass rush, that edge rotation. There were a lot of questions about Braswell. We figured that Walker was going to get a lot of opportunity, but we aren't going to know about him until next season because of the injury that he suffered. But we all kind of believed that the defensive front was going to take a big dip after losing Elijah Cansey. We figured, okay, we've seen Greg Gaines step up, so it's not the end of the world, but it's not going to be as good as it could have been. But Elijah Roberts, man, he has been an absolute dog for this defense, and he continues to get better each and every week. Offensively, I'm only going to talk about some positives here. First, Emeka Egbuka was really, really good. I'm not going to say that he was great because he did have a bad drop in the red zone. I thought there were a couple of passes that, while they wouldn't have been easy to bring in, I thought that Egbuka didn't really give much of an effort to try to bring them in. So I kind of docked him a couple of points there. But with all that said, he finishes with 115 yards and a touchdown on 13 targets. Again, not all catchable targets, but he continues to lead the way for rookies in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. He is now 3 behind Davante Adams for the league lead, because Davante just scored not even 2 minutes ago as we are live here with this reaction episode. He's going out there and doing just about everything that you could want him to do, and he's doing it like a 5-year veteran. Gonzalez was all over him most of the game. He was still finding ways to shake him and get open for huge gains. He had 4 receptions for over 20 yards each, and he drew a 22-yard pass interference penalty. That's exactly what you need from your first-round rookie. It continues to prove that the Bucs not only made the right decision to draft him, but that they wouldn't be sitting where they are right now atop the NFC South, still in the thick of the race for the number 1 seed in the NFC, even despite this loss to the New England Patriots. They would not be here without him. So, as more of these weapons return, he is going to get even better looks. He's going to get even more opportunities, and he's going to put up even better numbers. You can go back to the first touchdown by Tez. Egbuka was double teamed. You go back to the garbage time touchdown by Tez. Also, I guess I should be a little nicer about that. While it was theoretically garbage time, Tez scoring that touchdown and then a picture perfect onside kick by Chase McLaughlin that just happened to land in the hands of Stephon Diggs, who then took a vicious shot and hung onto the ball. I guess I shouldn't call it garbage time, because the Bucs gave themselves an opportunity for a miracle finish. Unfortunately, Stephon Diggs' hands were just too strong. But you go back to that second touchdown by Tez, Egbuka was triple teamed. You get Bucky back, you get Godwin, you get J-Mac, you get Mike. That's not happening anymore. You can't triple team the rookie first rounder when you have all those guys back out there on the field. So I think Egbuka is still in for a massive second half of the season, because even without those guys, he is still doing exactly what needs to be done. I'm going to jump into the chat again. Danny, Otten is really stepping up. Otten was fantastic. He really, really was. He's going to continue to be a big part of this offense, going to continue to be a reliable target for Baker Mayfield. And you go back, and I'll talk about this coming up in a little bit, but I feel like I should go ahead and mention it now. You go back to that 3rd and 3 pass to Cade Otton, where he took just a nasty shot on both sides of his body. In real time, it looked like he took a shot to the head. On the replay, it showed that it was shoulder to shoulder. I was screaming for a flag because I thought this dude just got absolutely leveled in the side of the head. Turns out that was not the case. So I had to very quietly apologize to the officials. But, that play easily could have been a first down, and the Bucs continue to march. Instead, on the next play, the pressure gets to Baker. He takes a sack, and the Bucs turn the ball over on downs. But Otton is a guy that he is continuing to go to in key moments on key downs to try to, extend these plays and move the sticks. He's been absolutely fantastic. I did see one that I wanted to bring up. Jimbo Schrum. Defense got gashed. Offense needs more juice. I mean, yeah, the defense got gashed on 4 plays. And again, that's uncharacteristic of them. You take a look at Henderson's second touchdown run. Everybody was up front trying to stop him. Henderson made the smart play. That play was not designed to do what he did, but we saw it for years and years at Ohio State. He saw where all the bodies were. He bounced it outside, hoping for a one-on-one opportunity with a safety or a corner, and instead it was a 1-on-0, and he was off to the races. So that was a great heads-up play by Henderson. The first Henderson touchdown, that was bad on the part of the defense. We talked about the Kyle Williams 70-yard touchdown. That was friendly fire, taking Benjamin Morrison off of the route. It still would have been a reception, still would have been a solid gain and probably moved the sticks, but it's not going 70-plus yards for a touchdown if that doesn't happen. So it was some miscues. It was some just boneheaded plays by the defense. Other than that, they did everything that you needed them to do in this game in order to give the Bucs a chance to win. All right, let's talk more about this offense. And the father in me, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs. NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. The defending champion Thunder are the favorites to win the NBA Finals at plus 200, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers at plus 650, then the Denver Nuggets at plus 700, and then the New York Knicks at plus 1200. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Wrapping things up here on a live edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast. And all right, let's talk about it, guys. I was obviously very high and very optimistic about this offense coming out of the bye week. A week to rest the injuries, a week to get some key players back, a week for Baker to get back to his usual self. Instead, they only get one player back in Luke Gedeke, which was great. He looked really good. But then they immediately lose Ben Bredeson on the extra point after the opening drive touchdown by Ibuka, and the offensive line starts to go downhill almost immediately. Baker was on fire, and then he couldn't hit water if he had fallen out of a boat. The run game, I didn't expect much. They actually surprised me a couple of times against the Patriots. Sean Tucker is now the only running back this season to have 50 or more rushing yards against this defense. And I will say this, I saw some people mention it in the chat way early on. Rachaad White's numbers on the stat sheet are not going to look great. But the number of times that guy turned a 5 or a 6 yard loss into no gain or a 1 yard gain was beyond impressive. I had mentioned it on Twitter. It was something that I took note of. He was not giving up on any play at all. And there were times that I thought he was dead to rights. And then all of a sudden he's able to pop out and at least get back to the line of scrimmage. Very impressive work from him against an incredible run defense. But here's where I think a lot of the issues lie beyond the offensive line having to shuffle around again. It's on Baker. That bye week did not get him back on track as far as his accuracy is concerned. He was still missing open guys. He was making questionable decisions. He was over and under throwing receivers consistently. He missed a wide open Ibuka by short arming it about 5 yards. And I realized pressure was coming in. Not only that, but the guy, I can't remember which Patriots player it was, he fell down and was closing in on Baker's knees. probably caused him to not step into it as much as he should. But all of these issues put together is hurting the team. Yes, that oblique is probably still bothering him. Yes, the knee is probably still bothering him. But here's where I think the biggest problem is truly coming from. It's Baker's rushing. Baker has been one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the NFL since joining the Buccaneers in taking off and running. He's not Lamar, he's not Josh Allen, but he has been so effective in that aspect of his game. There was a play during the Patriots game where he moved out of the pocket, shifted over to the left side, and had nothing but green grass in front of him. 6 weeks ago, he takes off and runs and probably picks up 15 to 20 yards. Instead, he doesn't take off. He passes up a sure first down, and he tries to force a pass into double coverage, and it falls incomplete. That is not normal for Baker Mayfield. There have been numerous times in the last month or so where he would take off and run to get first downs. He would fight through tackles. He would lower the shoulder and put a boom on a guy to try to get the yards that they needed to extend the drive. And at the very least, he would try to set up a positive down and distance. It just hasn't been happening. 0 rush attempts against the Patriots on Sunday. 0 rush attempts against the Saints 2 weeks ago. 0 rush attempts against the Detroit Lions before that. When defenses are not threatened by Baker's ability or willingness to take off and run, they can play much tougher and much better in coverage because they know that Baker isn't going to burn them with his legs. They can send more players after him to get pressure because they know he's going to slide around the pocket and try to buy time while looking downfield and not take off and run. So now your chances to sack him are even increasing because you know he's not going to take off. He has become Tom Brady. He is a statue. He's not utilizing the threat of his legs to create positive opportunity against the defense because the defense knows we don't have to worry about it. Baker's not taking off and running. And I'm not asking him to be Lamar. I'm not asking him to be Justin Fields or Jackson Dart, but Baker has been so good the last 2.5 years at making defenses pay for giving him those running lanes. No one is asking him to put his body at risk or to make these injuries worse, but this is very clearly an issue right now, and it's trickling into the other parts of the offense. The other thing that I want to mention here, because I've already seen it a couple of times in the chat. I saw it all over social media. I was texted by insiders, and I'm going to address it for, I don't know, the 4th or 5th time. I do not think that this game is on Josh Grizzard. I do not think that the offensive struggles are on Grizz. Not entirely. Do I love the Buccaneers running 2 screen plays in the red zone when the first one to Rashad gets blown up immediately, and then another one on 3rd and 11 when it's Cade Otton? No, I do not love that. Did I love the 3rd or 4th down calls late in the game? No, but again, I just mentioned it. Otton was blown up by 2 defenders. He got his hands on the ball. That very easily could have been a first down had it not been for the way and the timing of the hits. Then the 4th and 3, that stood no chance. The pressure was on Baker by the time the snap reached his hands. I'm not on here making excuses for Josh Grizzard. I'm not a spokesperson. I don't know him personally, but I do know that he's going to be way more critical of himself than any of us could possibly be. But I think Grizz is doing as decent of a job as he can with the hand that he's been dealt. There's no continuity up front. There's no star running back. 3 of your 4 star receivers are out. Your quarterback is obviously not healthy. This is not a recipe for success, yet the Buccaneers have been more successful than not. And I think the issue with a lot of fans is that they saw the success that Liam Cohen had last year. Mind you, this is the 3rd year in a row. Well, Second time in 3 years that the Bucs have an offensive coordinator who has not called plays before. Liam Cohen didn't really call plays for the Rams, but he was the play caller for Kentucky when they put up school record level numbers. But they saw the success of Cohen last year, and they expected it to be a copy paste into this year. Here's the difference. Despite, a couple tweaks here and there of Grizz implementing some of his ideas into the system, but Cohen was calling plays for guys that are not on the field now. Grizz was outstanding as the third down guy last year for the Buccaneers and was able to move the sticks far more often than not. The Bucs were one of the best teams in the NFL in third down conversions, but it was with guys who are not out there. If the Bucs were heading to Buffalo next week and they were down James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and Elijah Moore, you wouldn't expect the Bills to convert 60% of third downs. 2 weeks from now, going to Los Angeles, if they were down Kyron Williams and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Blake Corum, you would not expect the Rams to convert 60% of third downs, but that's what you're expecting from the Bucs. And honestly, it sucks that they're not out there, but it's also not a fair standard to hold. They have built an incredible amount of depth. And players like Tez Johnson have stepped up in a huge way. Shep and Cam Johnson have been solid pieces at times throughout this season, but they were depth guys for a reason. Rashad is not going to break off Bucky Irving runs because he's not Bucky Irving. Shep is not going to high point a ball in double coverage to move the sticks because he's not Mike Evans. That's why I've been so adamant about the fact that we have seen the best of this team, or we haven't seen the best of this team, but we have seen them make the best out of the situation they are in. We have not seen what they are truly capable of. It's not that I'm making excuses. It's because it's the truth. It's not a fair standard to hold when this team is missing this many key guys, when you've had one offensive lineman play in every game this year, and the first 3 games he was out of position. It's not fair. And it sucks for this team, and it sucks for the fans, and it sucks for those players that are hurt. But it is a testament to Jason Licht and the scout team that they have found players like this that can step up and make plays. It is a testament to the coaching staff that they are winning games without these guys. And it is a glaring reason why, when healthy, the Buccaneers are among the best teams in the National Football League. I cannot name you another offense in this league that would have one offensive lineman play in every game, play every snap in every game, lose their starting running back, lose 3 of their top 4 receivers, and still be 6-3 after 9 games. Because there's not one. There isn't a team in the NFL that can do what the Bucs are doing with this situation. So I want everyone to take a deep breath. Everyone woosah. The offense is struggling, and it's frustrating to watch because we know how much talent is there. But they're going to be okay. This game was frustrating because the Bucs could have easily won, even with the adversity that they're facing, and they didn't. But it still is not going to stop them from winding up with 12 or more wins this season. You can lose to the Bills, you can lose to the Pats, beat the Rams, and go from there. Because these guys are coming back. It may not be until late November or December in Godwin's case. It may not be until mid-December in the case of Jalen McMillan. It may not be until week 18 for Mike Evans. But every one of these guys is coming back. None of these pieces have been shut down for the year. And when they're all out there together, this team's going to cook, period. All right. One quick reminder. We are so way over on time. I do want to give you guys the respect that I can in the chat. Danny says, Wednesday is a key day. Hopefully Bucky practices. We need him. Even if he doesn't practice Wednesday, don't lose hope. we'll need more information. Let's see. We have more people in the chat saying fire Grizz. No, you guys are wrong. Like, I love you all to death. I love that you're popping off in the chat. No, Grizzard should not be fired after 9 games of a season where he has yet to have all of the offensive pieces on the field together. It's not fair. It simply isn't. It's a crappy situation, but it's not fair to punish him for something that there's absolutely no control over. And when we were talking about this team in July and August, we did it under the assumption that they were going to have Evans, McMillan, and Ibuka, and then Godwin was going to come back later on. That has not been the case. So, yeah, no, absolutely not. Stop saying to fire Grizz. This is not his fault. With that, we're going to end this one. A reminder, the Bucs Squad Show will go live right here at 8 o'clock Eastern. Make sure that you come back for that. We will do a full Q&A session in the episode to answer your questions. Jaron, Marcus, and I will do our best to do that. So if you had a question that you threw in the chat during the final segment of the show, I apologize that I didn't get to it. I went on quite the rant. Come back for the Squad Show. Ask your questions in there. We will get to as many of those as humanly possible, but you're not going to want to miss that. Please make sure that you are following on YouTube with the notifications turned on, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarcho_Bucs, Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Bucs, in both of those places. Locked On Bucs Insider, go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes. And if you don't want to be an insider, but you want to support the show, it's real easy. Like this episode on YouTube, leave a 5-star review wherever you get podcasts. It does help other Buccaneers fans find the show. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. Want to thank you so much for joining me right here on Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.